Namaste, welcome, welcome. It's a very warm day. So we're going to do something quite cooling. We're going to work with the element of water and the Swadhisthana chakra, which is the chakra that's here at just below the navel. And this is the seat of creativity connected to the element of water. And so our practice should be quite cooling. It will feel flowing in harmony in our practice so that we kind of connect with our creative energy. So let's start by coming into our comfortable seat, Sukhasana. And the mudra that I'd like us to take today is the Shakti Matra. And the Shakti Matra is, so I'll talk us through the little tips of the little fingers come together, tip of the ring finger comes together, fold in your thumb, and then bend your index and middle fingers over your thumb. So little fingers together, tips of the little fingers, tips of the ring fingers. Take your thumb to the base of your ring finger, and then you can fold over your peace fingers, your index and middle fingers. So you sort of create this shape here. And this is the Shakti Matra. So let's hold our hands here in our lap. Perhaps you have your wrists sort of resting on your hip, on the inside of your hip flexors. Closing your eyes. And the breath that I invite you to take is a breath that we're going to focus on the left nostril, the Chandra Bedhyana or Chandra Bedhi Pranayam. This is the lunar breath. Chandra means moon. So we're really going to focus on drawing the breath in through the left nostril, up towards the third eye. And then as we exhale, through the left nostril again. We're not going to cover the right nostril. We're focusing the breath on the left nostril, in and out. And you'll notice that even just by focusing your mind here, guiding your breath in and out of the left nostril, you notice the greater awareness, greater opening in the left side. Cooling breath in, cooling breath out. Your Shakti Mudra, tips of little finger together, tips of ring fingers together, thumb folded in, and then your index and middle finger folded over your thumb. And then hands resting in your lap, fingers pointing down. Focusing our energy on Swadhisthana chakra today, the Sacral Chakra, the second chakra. Chandra Bedhi Pranayam, in and out through the left nostril. Cooling our energy. This is a beautiful practice when it's really warm and hot, or when you're feeling warm and hot. If you are prone to hot flushes or night sweats, or you kind of perspire a lot, this is a cooling practice, connecting to the element of water. In through the left nostril, out through the left nostril. So you can still be taking in some breath through the right nostril, but we're simply guiding our awareness to the left nostril. Our mantra for today is Om Bhuva, Om Bhuva, Om Bhuva, connecting to this creative center, the source of our nurturing, nourishing, creative energies. One more breath here. Om Bhuva. Releasing your Shakti Matra, bring your hands together in Namaskar at the heart. Perhaps you softly part your palms for Anjali Mudra, especially if you're feeling warm. Opening by chanting Om 3 times. Inhale through both nostrils. Om. 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 Om Bhuva 3 times. Om Bhuva. Om Bhuva. Om Bhuva. Namaste. Welcome. So for our practice today, we are really going to be drawing on these cooling energies, where our first shape we're coming into is reclined butterfly. Supta Baddha Konasana. So if you have your large pillows and your small cushions available, we're going to create, you have different options here. So you can recline as low down to the earth as you want. So the angle at the top of your bolster or pillow will depend on how close you are to the earth. So if you want to be, the closer you are to the earth, the more intense this pose will be. The higher that you are in terms of the head, then the less intense this pose will feel. So you choose where you wish to be, yogis. So you can create an L shape with your bricks, or you can place a couple of smaller cushions at the head of the pillow. Bring your lower back, your sacrum, up against the end of your pillow or bolster. Soles of your feet together. Place your hands on either side of your hips, and as you exhale, supporting yourself, lower gently onto your bolster. Your heart will be open here, your arms alongside you. Now, what we want to really focus on is this sort of the area around our hips. This is around this area here is where we traditionally visualize the location of the Swadhisthana chakra, the Sacral Chakra. This Chakra is connected to the element of water. There's a sense of taste. The color here is orange. The yantra, or the shape, is a circle with a crescent moon lying within it. And this is milky white. You can bring your ring and thumb to touch in Varuna Mudra. Again, this is a mudra connected to the element of water. So we're going to open here and recline in butterfly for a few minutes. You also have different options about whether you have bricks or not. Another option is to have a higher brick for your head and a lower brick between your shoulder blades. Breathe into your hips, to your pelvic area. Perhaps if you wish to rest your hands on your lower abdomen, this may bring some additional comfort for you. This divine energy of creation, of creativity, is located here in this vortex that circulates around the lower abdomen, around the pelvic area, around the sacral area. Sacral for sacred. And I invite you throughout your yin practice to draw awareness to the breath as it passes through the left nostril in particular. This will help you to tune into your yin side, your yin aspect, the cooling, creative aspect. Visualizing the breath, visualizing the chakra helps us to deepen our practice by moving through the physical body, by softening the fascia, by softening the ligaments, the tendons, and working on our deep tissue. But as we pass through this deep tissue, we reach the energy body, the subtle body. Through visualization, we can move beyond the physical body as we know it. 3 more breaths here in reclined butterfly, Supta Baddha Konasana. Now, whether you are lying on a large pillow or whether you are using blocks, as I am, we want to shift the block to underneath our sacrum. So to do this with helping hands, let's draw our knees in together and come onto our feet. Perhaps you knock your knees in together for a while and take your feet as wide as your mat. Just to allow the lower back to decompress here. When you're ready, we're going to roll onto our side and remove the bolster or the pillow that's underneath us. And we can either bring the bolster, so I'll show you different ways of doing this. So we can either have the bolster underneath our sacrum, so that we're in a supported bridge pose. We could have, rather than our bolster, we could have a couple of cushions or one cushion or a folded blanket. Anything that lifts your sacrum. So your sacrum is the part of you that has the broadest bone here. So your tailbone meets your sacrum here. And if you feel twinges in your lower back, perhaps you adjust the location of your bolster or your pillow or cushions or a block. A block is a way that we can practice here. We place the block underneath our sacrum. You should feel very supported. The heaviest part of you is on your bolster, your pillow, your folded blanket, or your block. And we'll be in supported bridge for a couple of minutes. And then I'm going to give you the option of extending your legs. But for a moment, let's be here in Setubandhasan with support. Again, your arms away from your body. You can bring your little finger and thumb to touch. The little finger represents the element of water, jal, jala, apas. The middle fingers are extended. And allow the sensation of heaviness at your hips and pelvis. Almost as if you're holding a balloon of water here. If it helps you, you can place your hands resting on your lower abdomen. And again, focus on the breath through the left nostril. Simply visualizing the breath passing through, in and out of the left nostril, Chandra Bedi, Chandra Bediana. Our mantra is Om Bhuva. I feel, I create. I flow with the harmony of life. I connect with creative energy source. Thinking about all of the places, all of the people who inspire you, the muse within, the muse without. Here at the Sacral Chakra is the inner muse. And the world around you is the outer muse, perhaps in nature, family or friends. How does inspiration come to you? Through whom does inspiration come to you? You are now invited to explore the option of extending your legs. Perhaps you extend one leg and check with yourself how that feels. And then you can extend the other leg. The sensation around your lower back is what you want to tune into here. Does this feel painful? Is there pinching? If there's a pinching, either you need to bend into your knees and see if that reduces the pinching, or perhaps bend into your knees and move the block or cushion or bolster around. Because I'm on a low block, I'm quite close to the earth, so therefore there's less pressure. If you're on a high bolster, this might feel very intense, in which case reduce the height of the prop underneath your sacrum. You should be beginning to feel cooler now. Remember, at any point when it begins to feel too intense for your sacrum or around the hips and pelvis, bend into your knees. Bring your feet to the earth. Bend into one knee and extend the other leg. Take it in turns. Seven more breaths here. And again, I'm going to invite you to move with real care and awareness. If your legs are extended, gradually bend into one knee and then the other knee. Stay there for a moment to realign. And only when you're ready, draw the navel towards the spine and lift your lower back and slide your bolster or folded blanket out from underneath your sacrum. Align again here for a few breaths. From here, we're going to transition into happy baby, Ananda Balasana. Ananda Balasana. So let's bring in one knee first. Hug that in. Then bring in the other knee, hug that in. So Apanasana here. Wind relieving pose. Feet up towards the sky. Hands can go to the back of your thighs, or you can take your feet, hands through the middle of your legs, wrap your peace fingers around your big toes, or take your fingers to the little toe side of your feet. Coming into your Balasana, your happy baby here. And this pose is a great counter pose to the bridge pose and that extended leg variation of bridge pose. Flow with this creative energy through the second chakra. So we are said to have 7 major chakras. There are many more, but these are the 7 that we work with. The root Muladhara, the sacral Svadhisthana, which is where we're focusing today. Manipur at the solar plexus. Anahata at the heart. Vishuddha at the throat. Agnya at the third eye, and Sahasrara at the crown. Earth, water, fire, air, space at the throat, and then beyond the senses at the third eye and the crown. From happy baby, we're going to bring both our feet down to the earth. Take a moment and then let's cross the right leg, the right ankle onto the left thigh, figure of 4 here. Yogi's choice here. You take the back of your hands to the back of your thigh by lifting your left foot. That might be enough for you. You can also take your fingers and wrap them around your left shin. So this is also known as reclined pigeon, Supta Kapotasana, or figure of 4. Om Bhuva. Om Bhuva. Om Bhuva. I flow with creative energy. I move in rhythm with the source of energy. Creative energy flows through me like water. And I guide this creative energy to offer me inspiration. Expressions of my dreams, expressions of my imagination. I connect with my inner muse, inspired by this creative energy within. Three more breaths here. As you exhale, let's release the left foot to the earth. Uncross the right ankle, bring it to the ground. Take a moment before bringing the left ankle onto the right thigh, creating your figure of four. So have your ankle below your knee on your right thigh. Keep turning that left knee out. You can wrap your hands around the back of your right thigh by lifting your right foot up. You can wrap your hands around your right shin so that you hug even closer. Keep turning that left knee out. Reclined pigeon, Supta Kapotasana, figure of four. Om Bhuva. Inhaling Om, exhaling Bhuva. Chanting this 3 times silently to yourself or out loudly as you please. Om Bhuva. Sometimes, if you wish, you can always place a bolster underneath that foot that's lifted, or a brick. These are options that are available. And it helps to make this reclined pigeon pose more accessible and sustainable, perhaps. Always inviting the use of props to support you, to enable access. Three more breaths here. And when you're ready, releasing that right foot to the earth, uncrossing the left foot. Place your left hand on your heart, right hand on your lower abdomen. Take your feet as wide as your mat and knock your knees in together so that your knees are resting on one another. This is constructive rest pose. As you have your hands here resting against your body, close your eyes and visualize the color orange. At the navel, below the navel. Draw a circle, and within this circle, Draw a crescent moon lying on its side, milky white in color. This yantra, this seat, this location is the source of your creative energy, your creativity. All that you create through your imagination, through your relationships, through your interactions. Three more breaths here. And then when you're ready, we're going to release our hands and roll our feet in together so that we can come onto our side. Rest there on your side just for a moment. We're going to rise up from the earth now. Pressing into your hands, rise up. And we're going to come directly into square pose. Square pose is a seated pose. So I'm going to talk you through this because we're all going to be in different places here. So looking down, one place that you can come to, and remember you can sit here. So this really helps us to feel sustained. Get your folded blanket and place it behind you and then sit just on the edge of your folded blanket so that your seat, your spine has support. So really you've got your tailbone here on your supported blanket and lengthen through your spine. And then look down at your legs, cross at your ankles here. So this is the first place for us to explore. So it looks like a triangle. So you could stay here in this triangle pose. Another option is, so we want our left leg on top. Another option is to lift your left leg and then place your left ankle over your right knee. And so you might have, like, for example, I have a big gap here. This is where you can place another cushion. Or you might have that left knee is closer to your right ankle anyway. And this is square pose. But if you look down, you can still see a triangle. Now, this is really working into your hips here. And we're all going to be in different places. I'm going to place my left hand, the heel of my left hand on the inside of my left knee here. You can interlace your fingers between your toes if you wish, or you can rest your right hand on your foot. So if you're in this variation where you have your left ankle on your right knee and left knee above your right foot, even if you're padded with a blanket or a cushion, or you've got your ankles crossed and you've got a more generous opening here. And this eases the tension in the hips. To be where you feel most comfortable. And if you don't have anything to place between your left knee and your right ankle, that's fine too. We're all in completely different places here. Some people have more flexibility here. Some people are much more open in their hips. Others may not be. It's not about judging where we are or trying to compete with anyone. It's accepting that our creativity will flow richly in all of us, irrespective of how close we get this left knee to this right foot. We're coming into the body in order to dive deeper into the subtle body energies. Square pose isn't the most comfortable. It's often known as the firelock pose as well. We're not here for long. If it helps you visualize flowing of water, of nectar, of Amrit through your hips, lubricating your joints, softening the fascia. Sweetness, this rasa of sweetness, the taste of sweetness, rasa, taste, is connected to the element of water, the Swadhisthana chakra. Rasa means taste or essence. Three more breaths here. And then let's uncross the left foot on top. So place that left foot on the earth so that you have your bend in your knees. And your right foot is still underneath that left leg. From here, we're going to move into what we call reclined Buddha. We're going to slide this right leg all the way underneath us. And you come onto your right hip here. You may wish to place a blanket there underneath that right hip. Place your right hand on the earth. Now, the little toe side of your right leg is on the earth. Hug in this left leg. So it's almost if you were to go and lie down here, you would be lying on your side. You might want to create more space. So you'll notice that if you're more upright, all of these sensations are much stronger in your hips and pelvis. So this is reclined Buddha. If you wish to come onto your forearm, that creates more space and you can do that. Yogi's choice. You can have that left hand on your left knee. So play around, see what you prefer. Keep that right foot flexed. You can even hug in this left knee if you wish. Create some length in your spine here. So there will be some extension and flexion here. Extension on the right side, flexion on the left side. Even if you have your forearm on the earth, you're still trying to lift and lengthen your spine out of your pelvic bowl. We're not here for long. Remember, you can have your hands in Varuna Mudra, the water element mudra. Little finger and thumb connected. This is a delicious pose. It's one that I'm very fond of. Three more cooling breaths here. And then let's bend into that right knee and bring that leg back. So let's come back to center. We're going to go the other way. So left leg underneath now, right ankle on top. So remember, you can be in a place where you have your right ankle on top of your left ankle, cankle. I definitely have cankles today because of the sun. The wall of water retention. So, generous diamond here. Remember, you can bring your left ankle onto your right knee here so that your right knee is above your left ankle. You might have a big gap here like me. You might have less space. You can place your blanket, folded blanket under there. With your right hand, you can press gently on that right knee. Left hand can interlace with your toes. If you wish, you can also bring your hands into your Shakti Mudra, little finger tips of little fingers, tips of ring fingers together, thumb to the base of your ring finger, and then fold in your peace fingers, your index and middle finger. And then hands resting on your lap, fingers pointing down. So you can't see it because I've got them inside my lap here in that V shape I've created. Connect with your mantra. Om Bhuva, Om Bhuva, Om Bhuva. Translate that into your home language so that you can connect with the creative source, this inner muse, this divine source of creative energy that sits within all of us, that connects us to the harmonious flow of life, the rich inspiration to stimulate our imaginations. And I recognize that this is intense for the hips. It's not often how we come to sit. So if you want to change your position, come into this more generous triangle seat here where you're crossed at the ankles. But you can still see a triangle here. Three more breaths here before we move into reclining Buddha. So with care, let's release that right ankle from top. Place that on the earth, foot on the earth, right knee sort of hugged in towards our body. And we're going to slide this left leg underneath so that the little toe side is resting on the mat. Almost as if you're about to recline. You can bring a blanket underneath your left hip here. Left hand on the earth. And right hand can hug that right hand can hug the right knee in. You can have your right hand in your Varuna Mudra. Flex through that left foot. Remember, you can stay upright here, or if you want to create more space, you can come onto your forearm. We're working into our hips today. So this is on the physical level, that's where we're working at. On the energetic level, we're working on this Sacral Chakra, the wheel of creativity, this vortex of energy which circulates to activate creation. It is also our emotional center, where our feelings are. So we can often channel our feelings into creative spurts of energy. It's often when we feel emotional about something, we are able to express that through words or movement or art or song. We are all creative beings. This is one of my favorite poses because it allows me to work on my hips without having too much tightness there, or the kind of attention to the tightness. Square pose, which we practiced earlier, it's very challenging. And this helps me to release the tension from that pose. 3 more breaths here, reclining Buddha. And then let's begin to come back to center. Thread that left leg out from underneath us. Bring the soles of your feet together, and then let's open and close the wings of our legs here. And then let's place our feet flat on the earth and then drop the knees over to the left, in through center, over to the right. From here now, we're going to move into deer rotation pose. So yogis, let's take the left foot behind us, create a zigzag. Right shin is parallel to the right side of the long side of our mat, or whichever edge of the mat we're facing. We're going to turn over to the right. You can come directly to the earth, or you can place a blanket there. You can place your bolster there so that your heart is resting in your bolster. So you choose what you would like to have there to support you. So hands on your knees, lengthen first. Let's bring our hands into our Shakti Matra. Little fingers touch, tips of ring fingers touch. Thumb to the base of your ring finger, and then fold over your index and middle fingers over your thumbs. This is Shakti Matra. So let's come into our Shakti Matra here. Shakti Mudra is the personification of our creative muse, this inner divine source as represented by Shakti, Shakti Mudra. Turn over to the right with your gaze. And then let's bring your hands down towards the earth. Have your hands as wide as your shoulders, or perhaps on either side of your pillow or bolster. There's a deep twist here. So the twist is coming from the hips here, across the lower abdomen. So it's a really deep twist at the hips. As you exhale, lower to the earth. And you can come onto your forearms, you can come onto your bolster, you can come directly to the earth. So this is deer pose or rotation pose. If you wish, you can rest on your left ear or your right ear, or on your eyebrow center. Just see where you want to be comfortable. If you face the direction of your knees, that's less intense. If you look the opposite direction away from your knees, that's more intense. Or you can have your head on center. Be sure not to block your breathing. Om Bhuva. This practice is just delicious because it creates feelings of harmony within us. We meet at our edge, but we're meeting it in a much more harmonious, flow-like way. Imagine that there's nectar or amrita, this softening at the joints, this sort of liquid or gel that creates this softening effect in all of the hard places. And once we are able to soften, we can spark the creative essence within us. We deepen your breath here. Keep sensing that flow of breath, particularly in the left nostril, the left side. This is your yin side. This is the side that's the cool face of the moon, Chandra. Very cooling, calming, easeful, harmonious breath and energy. Remember, the breath isn't energy itself. Breath is part of this, how we understand vital life force energy. But it is more than the breath. It is that spark, that essence that we have within us. One more breath here in your deer pose or rotation. Inhale, turn your head to face down, and then slowly rise up by moving your hands up towards the south. Back to center here. Counter twist over to the left. You can come into your Shakti Matra here. Little fingers together, ring fingers together, thumb folded in with the peace fingers wrapped over. So the tips of the fingers together. Inhale back to center. Om Bhuva. Om Bhuva. Om Bhuva. Om Bhuva. Let's rotate our legs now. So hands behind you, bring your feet up in front of you. Take a moment here, windshield wiper them from left to right. And then let's bring the left shin parallel to the one edge of the mat. Bring the right heel towards your right hip to create this zigzag with your legs. Have your bolster or your blanket ready on the left side. We're turning onto that side now. So let's lengthen here. Tips of little fingers, tips of ring. Fold the thumb into the base of your ring, then fold your index and middle over the thumb to create your Shakti Matra. This personification of the divine muse, source of inspiration within. On the next exhale, turn over to the left and bring your hands at shoulder width wide, perhaps a little wider, on either side of your bolster or blanket. And as you exhale, let's lower the heart down towards our bolster or pillow or folded blanket. You can be on the left ear. This is less intense. You can turn onto your right ear, which creates kind of another twist. Or you can be on your eyebrow center. Yogi's choice. Allow your imagination to flourish, to thrive. Feel inspired by all of the things in life that bring beauty and harmony to you. Om Bhuva. Inhale, back to center. Rise up slowly by supporting yourself with your hands. Counter twist over to the right. You can bring your hands into your Shakti Matra here. Back to center. Now we're going to prepare for our final, most important pose, Shavasana. So for your Shavasana, make sure you have a blanket available to cover you. If you wish, you can place a flat folded blanket underneath the sacrum area so that you have a slight lift there. It can be a single layer or double layer, however you wish it to be. If you choose, you don't have to have a layer of blanket underneath you at all. So that will be underneath your sacrum area. And then spread your legs as wide as your mat, or even wider, arms away from you. If you wish, you can have your arms overhead. Make sure you're comfortable here. Now, if you've placed a folded blanket underneath your sacrum and it feels uncomfortable, adjust it to see if that helps. If that doesn't help, bend into your knees and bring your knees in together so you can have constructive rest variation for your Shavasana. You can have your hands resting on you, overhead or away from your body. Settle in here for at least 5 minutes of Shavasana in your practice, in your time. Our time together has concluded. Remember to rise with Om Shanti, slowly, with gratitude, when you're ready. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.